What is black magic really? Black magic, psychic attacks are all forms of psychic intrusion with a negative intent, with an intent that is born from another fragmented sense of self that is very low in vibration, from someone else's shadow self, from someone else's dark side, whether they are incarnate or not. They don't have to be physically incarnate. They could be sitting on another plane of existence. But nevertheless, this entire thing is not a concept. As we know, anything that's born of the microcosmic mind exists because it exists already in the field of consciousness, and it's only a matter of perception and perspective as to what we choose to make our manifest reality. What do we fetch from that existence? Guys, black magic does not have to feature in your manifest reality. What makes black magic possible? What makes a psychic intrusion possible is when we have open windows and doors. So what do we say? That if you want to protect your house from a burglar, what do? You close your windows and you close your doors. Make sure that everything is secure before you leave, right? What happens when you leave everything open, right? Knowing that there is a possibility, because that knowledge that there is a possibility is key to this. When you don't know that it's a possibility, that you're not in tune with that, and if you leave your windows and doors open, right, but because you're not in tune with that, which means that you've not opened that particular door and window of yourself to be attuned to that consciousness that yes, indeed, the psychic intrusion is possible and very palpable, that can happen into our lives, it shan't happen. So one thing that is key for this to happen is that we ourselves send out an invitation for it. Not directly, of course, nobody wants to send this directly, but it is born from our own fragmented sense of self. So it will come like a calling card, like a traumatic event, all of these things that happen to us that remind us that we are not the conditioned existence, all that reminds us that we are not meant to suffer, all that reminds us that suffering is born of the attachment that we have to the bodily consciousness being our only consciousness and not living a whole life taking into account all the rest of existence. Why is black magic possible? It's possible because not only do we acknowledge it, but secondly, the three reasons why it's possible is: one, we do not believe that we really are the creators of our manifest reality in totality. Two, right? You still think that we are at the behest of somebody else and that others are out to get to us. And three, we've not raised our vibration high enough for us to move away from bodily consciousness, right? Now, when we still have holes around us, points of entry around us, right? So initially what we want is there's a point of entry, but there is also a place that this thing can go away from without taking anything away. Yeah. And so this is when, if there is something, any intrusion, it'll come, it'll do its bit, but you'll realize it enough so that it doesn't fully run its course, and therefore it will exit. But not everyone will be in that position. Now, if you are already on your path of spiritual awakening, sometimes we might feel, why am I not getting here? Or look, now I've come onto this path. and and as much as I'm getting on this path and there's more light, darkness is going to follow me. 100% darkness is following us. And you know what that darkness is? It's our own darkness. These are our own shadows, right? I am not suggesting to you that you have gone out there and said, oh, can you come to me? Right? In a way, yes. If you look at the energetic essence of this and what it's actually going to amount to when we say that we choose our manifest reality, then we've also chosen this, except we don't quite choose the how of it, but it happens. Right? It happens because we have holes in our psyche. It happens because we've not raised our vibe. It happens because we still identify with this body. 3 ways that we can literally get above this, so that even if there's a psychic intrusion, you can see it coming, and before it enters, you have a stop sign. Say, hey, stop. Right? And you send it to the light. So the first thing we do is we renounce. You resolve to renounce black magic, psychic intrusion, psychic attack. To resolve to renounce is not the same as to reject its existence, because to reject something's existence is only going to reaffirm its existence. And so we renounce it. When we renounce it, it does not faze us. We're indifferent to it. Second thing is that you reclaim your spiritual autonomy. Most of us are already here. So if you've already experienced a spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening, you're already here. Right? You're already going through the isms of awakening, the nuances. You're already getting to know a lot of things, and you're headed towards the fully awakened state. Now, in this state, the fragmented sense of self finds its way back into its whole version. Now, when you're your whole version, there are no holes at all. Yeah? There'll be no shadows, no little places where somebody can, under the carpet, under the rug, find a way under you, find a way around you, bypass you, come this way, that side, representing in gaslighting, manipulating, narcissism, toxicity, right? Because none of this is no longer you. And so you're indifferent to it. You're impersonal. You're neutral. You've reclaimed back your power. You are an all-power, infinite being, right? And you already know it. You've realized it. Because by now, you've raised your vibration so high that anything that comes literally goes over you. It doesn't even affect you. Okay? And the last thing, and this is where a lot of us get disturbed, but number 2 and 3 overlap a little bit. So the third one is using the power of imagination, right? And this, the best of us find a little bit difficult to do, because we cannot imagine the best for somebody who's imagining the worst for us, our loved ones, our children, our families. We find that really difficult, right? Not only is it our survival instinct, but we don't feel that generous enough to literally wish well upon somebody who wishes ill upon us, or another being who would like to harm us. The third point is that you imagine this other energy, whether it's a person, incarnate or not, sitting on the astral plane, wherever they are, whoever it is, or whatever this energy or this entity is, or even an egregore, is you wish this entity to be in a better light. You imagine them to be a person of love. You imagine them to be a person of light. You imagine them to be in the best way possible, to be in their whole version of self, and imagine the love that they would send back to you. And so this is when somebody says anything or has tried to harm you, do not retaliate, because one, you can't harm. We can't be harmed at all. How can you harm the immortal? How can you harm the infinite? How can you harm the highly vibrational? You can't, because as you get highly vibrational, you start to fly, right? We are flying. We are always flying. And as we are flying, nothing can catch us. Nothing can catch us and make us dense again and make us sit and say, no, you're not flying. So every time something comes and it's trying to tell you, no, you sit here, you're trying to raise your vibration up, but no, come back down, right? If your survival instinct is still at that point where you haven't quite worked out everything and you're tempted and say, oh, go back to the doldrums, oh, I'm never going to make it, then you literally become a vibrational match and you slump. Now, with an awakening, it won't let you slump. So you may go through a little slump, but you lift yourself back up again because your back is covered. It always is covered. Once that awakening has happened, you see, the paradigm of consciousness already has shifted. And all that is now waiting, which is what we call the spiritual awakening process, is for the entirety of us, for this body consciousness, the vrittis, samskaras, the conditioned existence and karmas and everything to be burnt, right? And that's what that process actually does. And when you get to that and you get to your awakened state, you're invincible, right? But it is constant work even at that state, because you have to constantly keep yourself in check. Remember, just because we perform acts of compassion or kindness or even love, they may appear like that, but may not be. We cannot control what's on the outside or somebody else's intent, but we can control ourselves by making us the most fertile and breeding ground only for seeds of high vibrational stars to sprout. So much love. On that note, look after yourself and stay tuned for more. Take care.